So, we are getting an 11th team after all, or are we? Andretti Formula Racing LLC has had their application to join the F1 grid approved, beating out other candidates such as Rodin, Carlin and Hitech, both established marques in Europe. But hold your horses. Just because the FIA has said, yes, you can be an F1 team in 2025, doesn't necessarily mean they can actually rock up to the first Grand Prix of that year. The guys who own Formula One, that's Formula One Management and Liberty Media, have to have their say as well in terms of the commercial side of things. They must give their assent to the entire project, which has proven to be problematic. You don't need me to tell you that there have been countless articles since the start of this year opposing the idea of an 11th team or a 12th team into the sport, citing various reasons that will impact the teams in various ways and that it could endanger the sport as we know it. The teams will end up having no money! Oh, money! What a world! What a world! Relax, it's not that big of a deal. But can the commercial arm of Formula One really stop the flow of this application? Yes and no. The FIA can't actually force their hand because there are EU directives opposing their implementation and manipulation of commercial aspects of Formula One, but neither can Formula One management themselves oppose the other thing, so it's sort of a bit of a détente. One can't oppose the other, and vice versa. As far as I can see it from what I've read and researched, the only way that Formula One can actually resist Andretti is if it's a security risk or it would bring the sport into disrepute, and I don't think either of those things really apply to Andretti Autosport or Andretti Formula Racing LLC as a whole. Andretti is one of the biggest racing teams and conglomerates in the entire world. They are known throughout the United States, and they are slowly increasing their influence all around the world. The name of the actual company is derived from an American driver who is also the 1978 Formula One World Champion Mario Andretti. What? How is that disrepute? The American backing with General Motors, the Gainbridge sponsorship, which is an American company. Isn't that what Formula One and Liberty Media wanted? More American influence and backing? For all of the American viewers of mine that commented on my Logan Sargent video last week, thank you very much for your input. It has been very, very enlightening. I went through all of them and they said that they were really more interested in an American team in the sport rather than a driver who is, not doing so great. But I bet you're thinking, well, wait. Haas is already an American team, so why do you need another American team? Well, I mean, you've got one, why not have two? I mean, after all, the majority of Formula One teams are technically British, or they are British operated. And sure, Haas is backed by an American outfit and has an HQ in North Carolina alongside their NASCAR operation, Stewart Haas Racing, but throughout most of the year, the majority of the car work is based in Banbury in Oxfordshire. And now, on top of that, they got a little base in Italy. A little hub, almost gifted to them by Ferrari, who is headed by their technical director Simone Resta, who worked for Ferrari. When the cost cap started to come in, Ferrari found themselves in a pickle because they go, oh no, we have too many staff. Haas, do you mind just taking some of them? Okay, thanks. Haas is becoming the Ferrari B team, which Sauber used to be back in the 90s, and Sauber's moving away from being that, no longer having the Alfa Romeo name, and they're going to become Audi, so the Ferrari don't need to worry about that anymore. Doesn't sound very American, this team, does it? And as I saw in those comments, what Americans really like are winners. Haas, and let's be real here, they are not winners. Yes, 2018 was a very good season for them, and it looked like they were on an uptrend. But then you had the rich energy thing, they had their tyre degradation start to become an issue in 2019, they fell down, and then they become a little bit of need I say more? Also, brand recognition. Andretti. You say the name Andretti in the US, boom, instant recognition if you're a motorsport fan. Haas, well, yes, in NASCAR as part of Stewart Haas Racing, but the F1 side? Wasn't that the team that hired that egg a couple of years ago with that oligarch money? Yeah. Of course, the biggest argument that the teams have thrown into the media pit is to do with money. That F1 has become so big that the $200 million entry fee for new teams isn't a fair reflection of the value of each existing team anymore. Only an extra $20 million, it's simply not enough, no. We need, $600 million. Yeah, that'll do. McLaren and Alpine have actually been more supportive towards this new operation, and I can understand why they are. First off, with Zach Brown, he's very chummy with the Andretti organization, and Alpine have actually expressed interest in providing power units for the team at the beginning of their involvement in Formula One. And of course they would be, because Renault, they don't have any customer teams, so they really want to gain some customers, and therefore they can get some more R&D, they get a little bit of extra cash, and even though they are actually doing fairly well in terms of money, which is surprising given how well they're doing this year, at first I was very confused. A 2025 entry? Isn't there going to be like a massive regulation change the following year? Wouldn't that be a massive dip into the R&D pockets or something? But then I thought, well, kind of makes sense, because the following year, the Concorde agreement is going to be renewed or refreshed. And that $600 million thing, that might apply. So do it the year before, and I think it'll be a little bit cheaper, because I don't think you'll be spending $400 million worth of R&D to go from one car to another. And of course, you can buy parts and stuff like that within the FIA's set regulation of viable parts. The other teams, they don't want to lose TV revenue, prize money that they've grown accustomed to since Manor shuffled off the F1 mortal coil in 2016. 10 teams. It's been that way since 2017, and the F1 teams kind of want to keep it that way. Oh, yes, that Concorde agreement. If you've been following Formula One for a while, and in my own case about 25 years at this point, the Concorde agreement constantly comes up in conversation. The teams always make a big song and dance about it. Every single time this comes up, I always hear about a team, Ferrari, going, "We don't like this way. If you don't follow our demands, we're going to leave and do our own thing." This is why all this bluster and blowback and resistance towards Andretti, I take with a pinch of salt, because this is what the teams are doing. They're postulating. They are doing the dance around the Concorde agreement fire, going, "We want our own fair deal." That's what they're doing. That's part of the negotiations, and the FIA kind of knows this, and they're sort of playing the teams. They're going, "Hey, we're just following the EU directive about participation. We're just doing our due diligence. We're staying out of that side. We're just being fair on our point of view. Do you really want to be the ones that are going against the grain, F1 and Formula One management?" It's a little bit clever in a way. You can see that they are playing off each other. There are going to be some more fireworks here, I'm pretty sure. Really, it shouldn't be an issue. The current agreement that was signed in 2021 stipulates that Formula One can accommodate up to 12 teams. They're only getting a pesky 11th team, so it really shouldn't be a problem. But yet, it's the biggest problem in the world. Harder than making ground effect cars not porpoising, apparently. But there are rumours circulating that Liberty Media is looking into trying to adjust the payout to teams to make it a little bit more agreeable, so I think it will be okay. They will find a way. Behind the scenes, they'll come up with some settlement, and everything will be absolutely rosy. But right now, the teams are just fighting their own corner, and they're just trying to see that they can have self-preservation be on their side. I don't think that they actually loathe the idea of an 11th team, at least in the commercial point of view. There's also the other stuff that Andretti can offer, because they are offering quite a lot actually, because of that American influence, which all teams and the sport really wants. Maybe not the whole thing about digging up the entirety of Las Vegas and making it horrible for anyone that lives there currently. Yeah, I've seen the videos, it doesn't look pretty. Cadillac and GM are reportedly looking into budgeting out resources for an F1 engine in the future, maybe after working with Alpine initially. So in a way you could say it's like a Honda Red Bull powertrain sort of transition, or maybe a Mugen Honda type of thing, like it's a Renault engine, then tinkered with by General Motors. Andretti knows its way about motorsport, and it's now starting to branch out to international series sanctioned by the FIA, like Formula E, and then there's Extreme E too. The world is starting to get to know who Andretti Autosport is, making international fans more attuned to the idea of them being in Formula One. Very clever. And most importantly, an 11th team can provide something young drivers need. More seats. Yes, of course, American drivers may get preferential treatment for that first seat, and the whole IndyCar connection might be quite good. So long as an American driver in IndyCar has enough super license points, they could easily find themselves in Formula One eventually. But I don't think it will be Colton Herta, because so far during the season, he's really kind of fallen off a cliff, and he's nowhere near as prominent as he was last year because everyone was talking about him. But now he's just suddenly disappeared. Maybe Pato O'Ward might get a chance to be in Formula One after all. Yes, I know he's technically Mexican-Irish, but he is a very well-known IndyCar guy, and Zach Brown likes to play fast and loose with contracts and stuff like that, so maybe he might strike a deal with Andretti to give Pato O'Ward a seat for that team, and therefore he can actually give IndyCar some actual representation. And we all know that Brown and Andretti are very chummy. We saw that at Laguna Seca, where Mario Andretti got to drive an MP428 around that track, and he enjoyed it so much. I mean, I remember that being talked about months ago, and Zach Brown followed through with it. That was so cool. But there's some kind of connection there, and I'm pretty sure there'll be some money flowing between the teams. There is definitely something going on there. So is Andretti going to make it onto the grid? I think they will. We are going to get a lot of blowback and resistance from the teams for the next few months, but I think it's all smoke and mirrors. It's just what they're doing. They are courting around the Concorde agreement fire and trying to get a good deal that benefits everybody, including Andretti, because having them is what Formula One really needs, American representation. The feedback I've gotten from my American viewers is quite clear. They want a team that can do really well. They want drivers that can do really well. I think this could apply to anybody. Any country wants a team of theirs to do really well, or a driver of theirs to do really well. They don't want them right at the back causing accidents and being considered to be dropped the following year. Haas can only do so much, so maybe this could be beneficial for everyone. Andretti being there might make Haas step up and become more American themselves, or try and actually do better. Hopefully, with this upgrade package they get at Austin, they might be able to do just that. So competition between the two American teams? Yes, please. Or will what I said be completely wrong, and then Andretti is thwarted by the fact that Formula One is too greedy? Or will they actually go with the flow and not be resistant? But like I said, this is the American dream. Andretti in Formula One. But what about the other candidates? Why didn't they succeed, and what are they all about? Well, I can show you more about them if you like, if you watch this video next.